Welcome into HQ. Quick PSA for you. You cannot ignore the group of 5 this season. In case you forgot, they are guaranteed a spot in the playoffs. So here's our CBS Sports G5 power rankings. We've got the Bobcats at #1, and then the college football playoff favorite, Liberty, at 2. Tulane, UNLV, Boise State rounding out the top 5. Here to give some love to the group of 5, let's welcome in Richard Johnson and Shehan Jeyarajah. Guys, Texas State at #1 ahead of Liberty, which is a team that a lot are writing in Sharpie into the CFP. This, of course, is a power ranking. So we'll start with you, Richard. What do you think about where the Bobcats are at #1?
Emily, everybody wants to talk about G.J. Kinney and Texas State and the offense, but for me, I kind of dig the Bobcats because of what they've got on defense. Now, look, if you are looking for a defense that's going to pitch a shutout like the 1985 Bears or the 2012 Alabama Crimson Tide, it is not these Texas State Bobcats. But what they will do is they should be able to do enough on defense to keep games close and competitive because of how high wattage their offense is. Ben Bell, defensive end for Texas State, is a player to look at. I think he's a really, really good edge rusher, generates a lot of pressures, and is a player who can really, really go for them. And when they get into these shootouts, he's a guy that can help them break serve, which is all they really need.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm the biggest Texas State guy that there is. #1 for me did feel a little bit high, but I love what they have on the offensive side of the ball as well. Jordan McLeod coming over from James Madison, actually the Sun Belt Player of the Year last year. And Ishmael Mahdi might be the best running back in the country that nobody talks about. He was an all-purpose wizard for Texas State last year, actually a first-team All-American as well. This is a team that can beat you in a lot of different ways, through the air, on the ground, like Richard said, also get just enough stops as well. It's a team that if things break right for them and if some of their transfers are able to integrate, they could have a really special season. But I will say again, #1, that's a lot of expectation for me.
It certainly is, but that's what the preseason is all about, is to add that expectation and get mad at them if they don't live up to it. That's just how it goes. Let's move on to Tulane coming in, though, at #3. You've got John Summerall taking over a team that won, 11 games last season? But, Shehan, you think that 3rd is a little too high for the Green Wave. Why is that?
Well, look, John Summerall is one of the great coaches in the group of 5. To me, he should already be probably an SEC head coach. But when you talk about the roster and what they had last season, so many of their key pieces are gone. Headlined by Michael Pratt, of course, the quarterback, who was so key to their last 2 seasons. And offensively, they're going to be doing something quite a bit different than what they've done in recent years. I love the idea of what they're going to be able to grow to defensively with a guy like Summerall coming over, a really, really tough-nosed defensive coach. But talking about identity of coaches, there's not guys who are much more different than Willie Fritz to John Summerall. I think that this could take a year or 2 potentially to transition into the roster that John Summerall wants to have in New Orleans. So look, in an AAC that's going to be so competitive, I think putting these expectations on Tulane to be that #1 team, it's a little premature for me.
Shehan, with Summerall coming in, I think you're right about him needing to change the identity and him wanting to change the identity. I think that Tulane is interesting for me as far as a lot of these G5 teams, the best of them, because Summerall wants a defensive first identity. And a lot of these teams want to play these wide open, we just talked about one in Texas State, these wide open styles where they score a bunch of points and they just try to outscore you more than beating you up in a football game. So I think Tulane is really interesting as trying to be something of a change agent in a sense. But I do agree with you that I don't think it's going to happen year 1 for Tulane as far as getting that G5 bid in the college football playoff.
You know, and when you talk about Troy and what they did over the past couple of years, I mean, they were able to set a floor in the Sun Belt that I think was really tough to match. In the AAC, there are just a few more teams who I think can go over that floor. You look at a team like UTSA. You look at, of course, Memphis, what they do offensively. There's just a few more contenders who I think might be able to catch up to what John Summerall wants to do at Tulane.
Another team that would like to punch a ticket to the college football playoff is Boise State at #5. And while we're on the subject of new coaches, Spencer Danielson, of course, named the full-time head coach after stepping in as an interim last year. I want to know what's happening with the quarterback situation. I'm going to let you guys handle that. So, Richard, what are your thoughts on the Broncos this year?
Boise State, to me, is the most complete team in the G5. I know a lot of people want to talk about Liberty and how Liberty should be the G5 representative in the college football playoff. But with Liberty, you're basically just saying that their schedule is really easy, so they should roll. I don't think if Boise and Liberty actually played, that Liberty would actually beat Boise, because what Boise has both on offense and defense. Obviously, Ashton Jeanty at running back is the guy that everybody wants to look at, because he is one of the best running backs in the country. It doesn't matter G5, P2, whatever you want to call it. He's a really, really great player. The QB battle solidified this week. Malachi Nelson does not get the starting job there. So, I look at Boise and I think, okay, well, they know what they want to be, and it's going to be interesting to see how they continue to be Boise. I think people forget about them because they've been such a household name, but no, they've been such a household name because of their consistency, and that will continue.
No question about it. And I'll tell you what, Boise State would be my #1 team. They are my pick over at CBSSports.com to make the college football playoff as the Mountain West champion. The thing that you love about this team is their defense. They are stacked on the defensive side of the ball. They have a defensive head coach and first-year coach, Spencer Danielson, who helped really revamp that unit over the past couple of years. And I think they'll do just enough on the offensive side of the ball to be able to run through the Mountain West. You mentioned the quarterback situation. I think that this is an indicator of how high they are on this team. They don't want to work through growing pains of Malachi Nelson. They want to go straight to third-year quarterback Maddox Madsen, who started a game for them last year, played pretty well, and I think also just gives them a little bit more in the running game as well. This is a program and a team that expects to be there, not just in the Mountain West, but in the college football playoff race at the end of the year. And again, to me, this is the #1 team in the group of 5.
A lot of people are focusing on the 5-star quarterback that did not win the job, but what does that say about Maddox Madsen if he's able to beat out a guy like that to earn that starting position? Let's go to a trendy pick to make it into the playoffs. I've been hearing a lot of Memphis talk. They're down at #7 on these rankings. Probably a lot of excitement because of the 10 returning starters on an offense that put up, nearly 40 points a game last season. So, Shehan, I'll start with you. What do you think of Memphis's position there at #7?
Well, I think that you mentioned the 10 starters coming back on offense. This is the most sure thing out of all the returning teams in the AAC. I'd make the case. They know exactly what they want to be on the offensive side of the ball. They rode it to 10 wins last season. They've got a quarterback in Seth Hennigan, who's probably out of these group of 5 contenders, along with Caden Salter at Liberty, maybe the best of the group. And so I think that they just have a floor to this program that's going to put them in a great position. Their schedule is pretty manageable. They're going to have a great chance to be there at the end of the year in the ACC title game. And the other piece as well, when you look at the history of the College Football Playoff Committee, they've looked fondly upon the AAC. Now it's a different AAC with a couple more teams that are no longer in it, but I do think that winning the AAC, especially if they're able to be an 11 or 12 win team, that puts them right in position, I think, right with Boise State, right with Liberty to contend for that playoff spot.
Yeah, I love Memphis as a program just because of the consistency that they've had in the last few years, especially even going back to the Mike Norvell days. You mentioned what they have at the quarterback position. Memphis is going to score a ton of points. And I talked about Texas State and their defense just being able to break serve. I think that Memphis' defense is a little bit better. They're not necessarily going to get into 52-45 shootouts every single week. Because of that, I think Memphis is a more complete team. I don't think they're as complete as Boise as far as G5 teams go, but I do think Memphis is good enough, especially to win the AAC.
All right, guys, thank you so much for giving some love to the group of 5. When I was telling people at the beginning to pay attention, that wasn't applying to you guys. I know that you are all over it. So thank you so much for breaking it down. Let's go ahead and look at the odds to make it to the college football playoff. And it looks like Boise State at the top there. The aforementioned Liberty, of course, is a very trendy pick to go undefeated and punch their ticket to the postseason. But Memphis, the team we just talked about, right up there. A lot of great options. G5 is going to be exciting this year.